is your biggest influence? Who do you listen to and take advice from? What are the voices that impact your life the most? It may be a family member or sports icon. Or maybe you aspire to be like a scientist, a celebrity, or perhaps the person sitting beside you right now. Influence is more than just people though. It can come in the form of trends, challenges, and what we see everyone else doing around us.
Every person on the planet is influenced by something. In our digital world, this is seen in who we follow online. We like and we subscribe because we value what they do, what they say, who they are. And the things that they show us influence our lives and the things that we do.
That's why we talk about social media so much and why we often link it to our mental health, because it is so influential. Now, if we took a step back and asked ourselves who our biggest influence was, I wonder what we'd say.
Let's find out.
My mum. She birthed me, so yeah.
Probably like friends and family.
I think I'd have to say my wife. We have a great relationship and she tells me what to do.
I think I would say Steven Spielberg. Just growing up, I love all of Steven Spielberg's films like Jurassic Park and E.T. and everything. And I really like the guy and I want to be like him.
And there's a guy that I like, he's also our age, called Conal Mag. And he does a lot of promoting charities and all online, and I feel he's really influential and really inspiring.
Influence in my life has got to be my mum and dad. They're phenomenal adventurers.
It's probably my grandparents, just because they're two pretty awesome people.
I'm going to say my parents.
Parents?
Yeah, they brought me up my whole life, and I just look to them for inspiration and how to live a great life.
I wonder what you would have said if Danny met you in the street. We've seen influence work in crazy ways in the past, for good and for bad, to the point that we don't even realise we're being impacted by it because we're so caught up in it.
Did you know that social media makes most of its money through advertising? Some experts reckon that we see around 5,000 adverts a day. And this influences how we look, how we dress, how we think, and how we feel about ourselves. We live in a time of influencers.
Influencers are behind the camera too. There are whole teams of people thinking of ways to keep us scrolling, flicking and watching. As they try to get our attention, the question becomes, who are we going to let influence us the most?
We can all think of today's influencers, but what about history? Who is history's greatest influencer of all time? Well, the Time magazine every year creates a list of the most influential people of that year, but they've also widened that to get the most significant figures in history. In that list includes people like William Shakespeare. To be or not to be an influencer, that is the question. He's influenced our English lessons with books like Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet. On that list, they've also included Joan of Arc, the famous French heroine, and Abraham Lincoln, the 16th American president who helped to abolish slavery, and Queen Victoria, who helped to create the London Underground. And my personal favourite, Thomas Edison. Not only did he invent the light bulb, but he also created the carbon microphone, which we have in our mobile phones today to record sound. So, we can almost thank him for TikTok, right? So we've got all of these incredible influential people, but who came top of the list as the most significant person in the whole of history? It was Jesus Christ.
I wonder if that's what you guessed. And this isn't just a conclusion of one magazine. Countless historians also recognise the impact of Jesus. The historian H.G. Wells said, "I am an historian, I am not a believer, but I must confess as an historian that this penniless preacher from Nazareth is irrevocably the very centre of history. Jesus Christ is easily the most dominant figure in all of history." Throughout the past 2,000 years, Jesus has been a popular figure. People have responded to him in different ways, and that's always going to be the case.
When we look at the Bible and the accounts of Jesus' life and death, we are confronted with people who either reject him or go all in. There seems to be no neutral response to Jesus. Not just in life, but even in the face of death, he was still influencing people. On the day he died, Jesus encountered two completely different responses from a thief and a murderer who were being crucified beside him. The murderer mocked Jesus. The thief responded by asking Jesus to remember him in his kingdom. Jesus instantly recognises the heartfelt response of the thief and says, "Today you will be with me in paradise."
You see, real faith is believing in who Jesus is and trusting in him. In the Gospel accounts, just after Jesus died, a Roman centurion who was watching says, "Surely this man is the Son of God." Right up until the very end, Jesus is still influencing people's lives. But thankfully, the story didn't end there. Jesus' influence was far from over. On the third day, he rose again, reversing death and trendsetting a new way of life.
As we consider who he is, what he's done, and his influence on the world, what conclusion would you come to? Millions today still believe Jesus is the most significant influencer, giving people identity, worth, purpose, and hope.
We all have the choice to be a spectator of Jesus, to stand on the sideline. But I wonder what would happen if you let Jesus be your greatest influence.